Yes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talk Influencers. Of course, this is where we explore the mindset of amazing achievers. We share their secret to success and how the decisions they've made over the years have shaped, transformed who they are today. We're also committed to provide you with the tools and the knowledge that you need to unlock your potentials and to influence the world. Wherever you're watching me around the world, my name is Simon Odewale, and today we are really delighted to have our guest today with us on the Talk Influencers. It's going to be our 113th episode right here on the Talk Influencers, and of course we have EMEKA EZEOGU is going to be our guest today on the show. I am so excited, to have him on the show today. There's a lot he's going to be discussing with us, from life to business and to also to career. Of course, he's a psychologist, and of course he's a business life and life coach as well. So much to learn from him today on the Talk Influencers, and we are so excited, of course, to have him today on the show. So with no further ado, let's invite our guest, and of course we can get this our section right away started. Thank you so much. All right, our guest is here with us. We're so excited to have him today on the show. All right, send him in an invite to join us so we could just start. All right, also.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me, sir?
Loud and clear. I can hear you loud.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. All right, so good to have you today on the show. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you, and it's an honor to be here.
All right, thank you so much. Because I would like us to start right away. I know that's fine with you. Are you set?
I'm ready when you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, welcome everyone. This is the Talk Influencers. Of course, this is where we explore the mindset of amazing achievers. We share their secret to success and how the decisions they've made over the years have shaped, transformed who they are today. We're also committed to provide you all with the tools and the knowledge that you need to unlock your potentials and to influence the world. My name is Simon Odewale, if you're watching around the world, and we have the amazing EMEKA EZEOGU today on the show. And of course, for those who don't know who he is, of course, he's a life, leadership, and business coach. Of course, he's also a psychologist expert. There's so much to learn from him, and have been opportuned to be under his talks, of course, in the seminar that was held later this last month, and of course, it was phenomenal. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation at my journey, at the section of my journey I think it was last month. Yes, thank you so much for that wonderful section. Thank you so much. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I mean, it's been a good day already.
All right, this happens to be awesome. This happens to be our 113th episode on the show. Sure. Of course, we said since 2019, and we've had a whole lot of guests on this show today. Today makes it to 113 guests from all over the world, not only limited to Nigeria and Africa, and also outside of Africa. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right, I would like us to start immediately. Awesome. All right. I would like us to start immediately. EMEKA, please, can you share with us, going up for you, I believe that there are a lot of decisions that have made any life that have changed and transformed who you are today. Can you share with us one profound, if there are two fine decisions that you made in life that has changed and transformed who you are today? What are the decisions, one or two, that have made any life that have made a tremendous impact to who you are today?
I think I would, I will just provide a little background so that it might make a lot of sense why. Because oftentimes people think some things are cliche, but they're not cliche. Life is very subjective. So sometimes the things that are powerful to you might be ignoble to other people. So I had now I can't even call it a misfortune, but I had this privilege of not getting into university early. So I finished secondary school quite young. But I stayed 7 years outside university before I got, 7 years in that gap between senior secondary and then first year in the university. And it wasn't for want of trying. I, I wouldn't say I'm mercurially smart, but I should be smart enough to pass JAM and pass WAEC and all of that.
Yeah.
But then there was a recurrent theme. I remember that period of time in my life, I was listening to a particular person and a particular speaker, a faith speaker. And one of the lines he kept using that now formed the core of a mantra for me. More like, yeah, that's so every decision I later took was hinged on that sort of mantra. He would say that you will win if you don't quit. That's what he would say. You will win if you don't quit. And so that you can understand this, I had written before I got into the university finally. I've written exams for 7 years straight. I've written JAM, I've written WAEC, I've written then we used to do PolyJam. I've written PolyJam, I've written foreign exams, And I think I only had results for 2 exams. When you do exams for 7 years and you see results for just the first 2 years, I saw my results. The other ones, even the foreign exams, so I did an A levels and an O level exam. Back in the day when they used to do SAEB, it's an American exam. So I did SAEB advanced levels and I did SAEB O levels. And when the results would come out, I had my A levels. In fact, I had A levels credits instead of A level passes. But then my O level result was not released. When you write a foreign exam and they don't release your result, then something is really wrong with you. Right? So it wasn't, I could talk about JAM. I wrote JAM for years. I didn't see my results. But I remember that it doesn't matter what happened the previous year. I would always buy another form. I would always buy another JAM form. I didn't know how much my options were then, but I would just buy because that line did not leave my head. That you win if you don't quit. Or you will win if you don't quit. If you're very sure of what you're chasing, and you know that there is a large chunk of your life that is tied to this thing, try again. And then I'll ask myself then, okay, if I decide not to write next year's exam, what will I be doing? So if I quit now, what would I quit into? What am I moving into? There's still nothing. So let me try again. Maybe this year, I remember the last year I wrote, the last pre-university exam I wrote. It was a PolyJam. That was the last year they even had PolyJam. 2004, 2003, I can't remember. I remember I finished writing the exam, and I can't even go into the details about how I write my exams. All right, it's scary. But yeah, I finished writing the exam. On the day the results came out, I went to check my results, and I remember coming home that day. I didn't go straight to the house. I went to the church. My elder sister, then was studying for ICANN. She would always go to the church because it was always almost always empty, and she could use the place to study. So that day, as I was coming, she was outside. The church is a story building. She was upstairs, up by the window, and then she called at me from the window, like, "Guy, how far? How the results?" And I told her unscannable, because that was what I saw. The result unscannable. She was like, "What's the problem?" I'm like, I don't know, but I still need to go to university. There are things I want to do with my life, and I need a BSc or a B something to lay a foundation for that. So yeah, that statement, "you win if you don't quit," is still stay with me till today. Sometimes I write some things online and I sign it off. You win if you don't quit. For me, it's not cliche. It's one of the most abiding mantras for my life, and it's upon that I make decisions. So I'll have asked myself, is this what I want to do? Does it have any bearing with my future? Does this thing engage me in any way? Does it engage my genius? Does it engage my talents? Can I find expression in this thing? All right. So if I answer all of those questions in the affirmative, then I know that, look, this is something I want to do. I'm going to meet challenges here, but so I think every time a challenge comes my way, it's almost asking me, how badly do you want this? Right? And if I can answer it, I really do want this thing, I know I'm going to stay inside it. And funny enough, I've used this for some other things beyond just university education and all of that. I've used it for a lot. In fact, I even used it for marriage. Well, it's crazy. The same, yeah, you win if you don't quit. And then I remember, it's just coming back to me now like crazy. It was a philosophy, really. It wasn't, so it guided all of my decisions. I remember I was having issues in a relationship then, and then there were a lot of back and forth. And then I went back through the same process. Do you want this? Is this, do you have your life tied to? Is there something about this thing that your future is connected with? And I said yes. All right. So I had already walked out, then I had to walk back in. And then I remember my wife asking me, then why did you come back? After we got married, why did you come back after you just walked away? I said, I figured that the worst that could happen was that you didn't want to be married to me. But me, I want to be married to you. And I know that I'll win if I don't quit. So I just stayed inside and I want that too.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. I would like to ask you this, because what are the how, if you are given an opportunity to talk to the whole world for 1 minute, what are you going to talk about and why?
Wow, that's
just for 1 minute.
For 1 minute, God, I would talk about maybe our humanity and why. Just because it's something I'm at that point in my life where I'm coming to realize that as a species, we are fast losing that part of us, our humanity. So we're in a lot of other things. We're in fads, we're in fashion, we're in acquisition, we're in trying to compete, we're in trying to prove to other people that we're better than them. And then inside all of we're in trying to prove that we're a better race, that we're a better nation, that we're a better tribe, or that we're a better one thing or the other based on the things we've been able to either accomplish or some kind of status that we carry, such that at some point we lose our core, our humanity. We become like robots. We become like something else, but not human. And if there is anything that I think, if you follow me online, I've not been very consistent these days. I've been too busy. But one of the things I've always dropped, and the core of my message these days, has been about calling us back to that essential humanity. That's part of us that can see another human. We don't really truly see the other person. So every time you meet somebody, the first thing that comes to mind is, who is this person relative to me? And it's subconscious and it's programmed. What does this person have related to what I have? Who is this person? So there is a relativity that covers the reality of who that person is. So oftentimes we meet people and we don't have the chance to truly experience them because there are expectations we've had. So we don't, I can't just be, I can't allow you be. I don't know if you understand. You're in my space. I can't just let you be you. So oftentimes what people do is when they meet us and they catch that, look here, this guy too is like me, they'll put up a mask. And so we're always interacting and relating with masks. We don't know how to just be. The core of my message, if I can talk to the whole world, it's just that. Can we just give everybody some break and just let them be, let them enjoy who they are, even if you don't quite like it. Let them be able to reveal that person to you without you judging them or expecting them to be somebody else just before they even walk up enough confidence to let you see this is who I am. I mean, I don't know a lot. I don't have this, I don't have that, but this is who I am. Can you let me be me before you place a demand of knowledge on me or the demand of acquisition on me? Yeah, I'm already telling the world what I would like to tell them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for explaining that quite well. Yeah. All right, and can you share with us if I don't know the advice you have received from someone that has made a tremendous impact to who you are today? If there are three advices you have received from someone and that have made a tremendous impact to who you are today.
Yeah, I would. Okay, I'll just. I can say one. I can't call them advices. I would just say maybe they're pointers. Sometimes it's a question. Yeah. Right? It's a question they ask. Well, because growing up, I had quite some people I would talk to about certain things. I had a father figure I could talk to about life. I had people who were a little older than me in pursuits that I could talk to about things I'm chasing or things I want to chase. Yeah. So I would take the first advice I was given that I can remember right now. It might not be in sequential order, but I can remember one. I remember the first time I had to lead a group of people, and they were volunteers, and then I remember after I was, because it was an electoral thing. After I was elected, and I had a team of about 27 or 28 people to work with, and I was going to preside over that small cohort. A mentor looked at me then and he asked me, he said, because they called me EMEKA, I said, what are you reading now? That was the question he asked. And then prior to this time, I was I wouldn't say I wasn't reading, but I wasn't target reading. I don't know if you understand that. I could read randomly. I pick a random novel and read a random novel, read random books. I was a little more attracted to spiritual books then, so I would read a lot of spiritual material and all that. But he just asked me, "What are you reading now?" And it sunk. Because when I told him what I was reading, he said, "You need to change your library." That advice came to me in my second year in the university. And it changed my life forever. Like, legit, it changed my life forever. Because I would then go ahead and really read. I mean, really read. I left the university, I had just one, I had some of the clothes, but I had one jean. It was a very good jean. It used to be blue when I bought it. By the time I was leaving school, it was something close to white. Yeah, a few shirts, and that's a story for another time. But I had a functional library of close to 500 books by the time I was leaving the university. That was my biggest asset. Like, my biggest asset. I spent almost all my money, pocket money and all. And I'm not saying this like, yeah, that question set me on the path, because I didn't just lead. I learned leadership. I read leadership, and I knew how to give it back. All right, so I was reading and practicing. I had 27 people, lab rats, legit lab rats, work with that. So yeah, and those 4 years were just phenomenal. That was the first advice. That's one advice that comes to me now, and I know that, yeah, literally, my life is about books. You can't catch me without one now. It's not because, it's just because I can know a lot of things. I can enter places, enter paradigms, understand perceptions just by reading. I mean, I don't have to go to some countries. I will know them by reading. I don't have to understand some languages. I will get there. So it just broadens your world when you read. Basically, it broadens your horizon. It deepens you as a person, especially when you read broad and you read wide. And you just, yeah, so you can appreciate the world a lot more when you can do that. And that single question, that I will call it an advice, because that changed me. And my second advice that I can remember right now, yeah, I can remember the third one. The second one I can remember right now is about life. All right, so I had this outlook about life. I would say I was pretty much conservative, just wanting to live with what you have, stay inside your small corner. If you suffer a lot, you will get something out of it. Life is hard, so you've got to walk through that. And I remember one of those days, I was in one of those places in my mind, and I had to talk with this mentor too. I talked with him about life. Then I was pretty young, so he was married, he had a family, and in fact, funny enough, he was the first person who allowed me access to his library. So if I have a library now, it was because he had a library and I could see. I would walk into his library and I could carry a whole series of novels to just go read. I mean, and he would let me. So yeah, so he opened me up to books. But that's not all the advice that I got from him that really shook me in my mind. I think I was talking about suffering, how that suffering would allow you succeed or something. That was the conversation I was having with him, because at that stage in my life I was really suffering. Yeah, I was suffering. And then I was saying it like it was a fact that for you to succeed in this life, it is suffering that works patience, that works character. And he looked at me and said, "What proof do you have about that beyond your life?" Literally, beyond your life. What proof? Have you seen people who didn't have it as hard as you had it and they succeeded? And that shifted it for me. Like, okay. Yeah. Before I begin to make things hard for myself, because I think that hardness is what gives success, let me change how I think about this. And then he was a bigger picture to what he was telling me, because, yeah, he didn't have half of the challenges I had then. But, I mean, by every standard, he was doing fine, even if he was much older and married. I figured that in asking that question, it helped me shift my mindset that, look, and it will be later in life that I will quite understand that he was asking me to hold a positive mindset. He was asking me that my life would always respond to me. The life as a construct will always respond to the person that is living it. That everything I will see in my life will not be what life has to offer. It will be what I have to think about life. And yeah, it changed me here, because at least from that moment I began to tell myself, yeah, I deserve some things. No, wait. I deserve some things. The things that I desire, I deserve them. I don't have to desire to suffer to get what I deserve. There should be a pattern to achieving this. If I can find that pattern and I follow it, I can have fun in the process of getting there. No. So yeah, that worked on me. And the third thing I picked up, I think around 2014. 2014, I took a professional course somewhere, and I met my own coach by taking that course. There's something that came out for me. So if I send a professional mail now, my mail header carries that tag. All right. It says that all we know is not all that there is to know. All I know now and all I would ever know is not all there is to know. And he would always say that, my coach would always say that all I know is not all that there is to know. And what that taught me, right, was to have a different relationship with ignorance. That ignorance is not, it's not so much a bad thing. Because I would always be ignorant of something. So if I don't have a good relationship with ignorance, I would think it is bad to not know something. And what happens when I think it is bad to not know something? I would assume I know what I don't know. So if two of us start talking and obviously you grasp this subject very well and I don't quite grasp it, because I think ignorance is some bad stuff, I would assume that I know what you are talking about. I would play along. And what would have happened in the end is that we would have had that conversation and I still would not have known. You know how many people, it's funny, so it just taught me that, look, you can't know everything. So just stay humble, stay open. You can always learn. You can learn from a child, you can learn from an adult. And I'm not saying this because it's cliche again. Like, my life is about knowing people, knowing things. I work as a psychologist, so half of the time somebody's telling me something. If I go into that conversation with a preconceived notion of who the person is or what the person has done, I would mess up the process. But if I stay open and this person I allow the person just tell me what they really have to tell me. If I can assume ignorance in the place where I'm really ignorant and tell you, look, I don't know about this. Can you explain that to me? I can gain a lot more knowledge than if I assume that I know. Because the things you would have shared with me, right? The details you will have given to me to help me quite grasp the subject, you won't give them to me if you think I already know it. We will just be talking about it from a different height. So I would have walked out from this meeting that had the potential to increase my knowledge with just, even if not less knowledge than I already have. Why? Because I could not reveal my ignorance so that I will get knowledge. Funny enough, I figured that every time you reveal ignorance truly, you get knowledge. Every time I tell you, I don't know, I don't quite know this, let me explain it to you. See, I'm getting knowledge, right? And I can walk away from there knowing what I had not known before. So yeah, I think that's the third thing that really comes to me. That all I know is not all there is to know, because all I know is all I have learned, and all I have learned is not all that there is to learn. I can't know everything, but I should be willing to know something new. And every time I get a chance to meet someone new, engage with a new subject matter, and I meet a new professional, a new expert at something, I should just sit back and let him teach me. Yeah, these are the three things that comes to mind.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Emeka. So, speaking of knowledge, and, you said something about knowledge. You said that knowledge is like a burden that needed to be shared. On your page, we saw that. So, can you just explain more on that, just a little bit, so that we could just understand that statement that you said on your page?
Okay. Yeah. So for example, and I'm going to try and use an illustration to drive this. It's a burden. If we have a challenge now, if there is a problem, and it's just the two of us in the room, and there's a problem facing us, and I'm the only one who has the knowledge about that problem, it becomes my responsibility to fix it. That's the burden the man of knowledge carries every time. He carries with him the responsibility to do. It's almost like a curse. Like, so the only person who has the and I'll say this not like an absolute, but the only person who has the absolute responsibility to do is the person who knows. So if I know about this, if I have a working knowledge about this, I now carry the burden. It's a burden to do it. If I don't do it, I can't blame anybody else for that problem still remaining, because inside this circle, I'm still the only person who has a working knowledge of how to get that done. That's how knowledge is a burden. And sometimes people would want to just carry it in their head like something that I know stuff. No, when you know stuff, you're bound to do something with what you know. Knowledge is not a possession you carry. It's not something you used to really show off. Knowledge is a call to action. Is a call to do, and that's why I said it's a burden. The moment you hold and you have insight into a matter, insight into an issue, a thing, whether by study or by intuition, you are the person who has the responsibility to do it. Every other person can align and follow. People can contribute, but you have superior knowledge on the subject matter or on that issue. It is your burden. So when I say knowledge is a burden, that's actually what I meant. The person who carries it actually carries a burden. It's funny though, because the average knowledgeable person thinks it's something you need to show over somebody, but really and truly, it's a burden. It's a burden to act.
Absolutely.
That's what I meant.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Emeka. Emeka, what advice are you going to give to the 22-year-old Emeka EZEOGU? What advice are you going to give to him?
Well, I met that guy. I will tell him to live life, to truly live. I will tell him to not hide under any excuse. I will tell him to not shrink from a fight. Well, not physical fight, but life. I will tell him to engage life. I will tell him to not live his life to fate or chance. I will tell him to stay. And I will tell him to learn as much as he can learn, to give as much as he can give, to love as much as he can love. Hi. There are a lot of things I will tell him, really, but I will tell him to live, to understand that he's going to be here for a while. None of us will be here forever. Nobody is going to win over life, really and truly. At some point, life will tell you, yeah, it's time to check out. But when it's time to go, I would tell him to leave so that when it's time to go, he's not struggling with death or life. So when it's time to check out, he just walks out like, yeah, I've lived. I've done everything. I have been everywhere I should be. I have given everything I should give. I have learned as much as I can learn. I didn't take anybody's thing. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So I would ask him to leave. I don't know. It sounds esoteric, but really it's, if I had known a lot of the things I know now, maybe I would have, well, I grew better. Maybe I'll have grown better, right? Maybe I'll have turned out better. I wouldn't have fought over some things I didn't need to fight over, hassled over some things I didn't need to hassle over. I would have lived more. I would have given my time to life more. I would have learned. I would have mastered it. Well, I still am mastering the mountain. I would have started mastering the mountain maybe a lot earlier and know one thing well enough. But after knowing that thing well enough, I would still have stayed open enough to receive from every single person as I go. So that's the advice I would give him. I would tell him that everybody in life is learning how to live because nobody has been here before. And I will tell him to take it easy with every single one of them. And he should help who he can help, bless who he can bless, walk away from who he can walk away from, say no when he has to say no, say yes when he has to say yes, and just generally live.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be my advice.
Absolutely, that's a whole lot. Thank you so much, Emeka. So, Emeka, I would like to ask, as a psychologist, what advice are you going to give to anyone watching us at the Talk Influencers in order to be able to maintain or control our emotions? What advice are you going to give to them? Because you agree with me that emotions is one of the things that a lot of us are trying to maybe maintain or control. What advice are you going to give for anyone watching us at the Talk Influencer in order to be able to either maintain or control our emotions?
Emotions will always happen within you. They're a proof that you are alive. You know, how somebody will do something and they will say that that person is heartless. They are saying that the person did not show emotion. That guy is mean, he's heartless. So emotions, or they'll say it's inhuman. Yeah, that's a word. Inhuman, yeah. They are saying that this thing you did is not what human beings do. Because human beings have emotion and they, yeah. So the first thing, that emotions are a part of your life and they happen within you. But what's most important is that you directly or indirectly choose every single one of your emotions. You choose them. Because nobody can make you feel anything in this life. No event, and oftentimes I say this, it's scary. No event can make you feel anything. Nothing can make you feel. You decide how you're going to feel, right? An event happens, and there is a loop that this thing follows. We call it the decision loop. There's a loop it follows, and I'm still trying to get to the advice, so just give me a minute, right? There's a loop it follows. So when something happens, you think about that thing. There's a thought that you think about that. It's because of the thought, how you have thought about an event, that will choose the emotion you will feel about that event. It's not the event that will decide the emotion. No, it is you. The event is outside you. You will, by thought, attract the event in and say, okay, whatever you think about that event will determine the emotion you will feel about the event. The emotion will determine your decision. Your decision will determine your action. Your action will determine your outcome. Oftentimes, what people see is the outcome, or maybe the emotion. But there is a thought. It is the thought that is wholly yours that determines how you will feel. At every time T, you are always in control of how you will feel. The challenge is, how are you thinking? I'll give you an illustration. So let's say I'm not your friend. Well, I'm not really your friend. We're seeing for the maybe second time now, and yeah. And if I were to tell you that you are mad, you will look at my face and like, what's wrong with this guy? What's this one now?
What's
You can
going
start
on?
getting angry. Yeah, you can start getting angry because some stranger said you're mad. And then your friend, your real party, looks at you and says, you're mad. And you are laughing. So he's saying you are mad. It is the same word, you are mad. Your response to you are mad is different because your thoughts about that, the two contexts of you are mad were different. The first thought was, this guy is a stranger. He thinks doesn't know that me too I'm mad. I'm madder than him. I will take him on. This guy is insulting me, right? So you're already thinking insults. Because you're thinking that this person is insulting you, this person is taking you for a ride, you will feel insulted. And then anger begins to rise. You can go to war for that. In the other case, you know this guy is my party now. You are even while he's telling you you are mad, you are still saying, my friend, your thought is this is friends still bantering. Because you're thinking about that in a different way, the emotions you choose are different. You choose them. They happen within you. So every time your emotions are supposed to always be at your mercy. So this is it. If I'm going to advise anybody about their emotion, this is what I often tell them to do. Every time something happens, whether someone insults you or something, a random event happens, take a pause first and ask yourself, what do I want from this? What do I want? Now, what happens is the moment you take that pause, there's an entire process, a neurological process that you're bypassed that brings you to thinking. You're thinking about outcome. What do I want? The moment you arrive at what you want, it will guide you. You do what we call a back from the future thinking. It will guide you back to how you will feel. So someone can insult me, and I tell myself, you know what? I don't want to do this. And I go all the way down to feeling pity for the person and just walk away. Instead of feeling angry that I'm being insulted, I could just go all the way with feeling, oh, this guy, you know what? Nah, and just walk away. My emotions was chosen by my outcome. My outcome is I don't want to do this. I want to go home. I want peace. I want rest. I want quiet. And that's what is asking me to choose. Oftentimes, why our emotions run amok is because there is a social system within which our emotions evolve. For example, some dude insults you and you look at somebody else's face and now you say, you're just going to go like that. The person has not said it, just looked at you and like, if it's me, I won't take that nonsense. And you're like, okay, you're getting angry. Not because you want to get angry, because there's a social construct somewhere. There's a social script that you're trying to play out. I've seen boys go to fight because their friends they were in the midst of their friends. You will see the boy, you know that he's not committed to the fight from the beginning. The only reason why he got into the fight was because someone insulted him and his friends were watching. Sometimes it's the wife that is watching, it's the husband that is watching, the children that are watching. It's just there is always a social script, a social circle within which we choose emotions that harm and hurt us. Ignore that for a while and ask yourself, as this whole thing is playing out, what do I still want? Because if this emotion leads to anger and then there's a fight, I'm the one who's going to have a bus sleep. All these people whose faces I've looked at to go into the fight will go their way. Some will even tell her, look at you, you're fighting. I mean, and I had to read from their face that there was a need for me to respond based on a social script. Choose your response. Every time something happens, every time an event happens, ask yourself, what do I want? What do I really want? The moment you arrive at that, let it guide you to make a decision as to what you want to do. That way, at every time you are choosing your emotions. It's not just coming from everybody else or from the event, it's coming from you. I don't know if the advice is strong enough.
It's very, very good. Thank you so much. Honestly, it was really, really good. Thank you so much for explaining that very, very well. All right, even as we round up now, I'd like you to ask this question down. Growing up for you, what are the things that you had to learn the hard way? Growing up for you, what are the things that you had to, if there one is fine, one thing that you had to learn the hard way growing up?
There are a lot. I guess I had to learn to, I really had to learn to live. It was, well, I'm still learning, but yeah, growing up, that was the first thing because I had to, so the first, when I was born, we had, stuff were good. We could, when I was quite younger, maybe until like 5, I don't know, stuff was good. We could, maybe, I can't remember now, but I know that there was a space in my life where there was enough, and then there was another space where there was just not enough. So, and the space where there was not enough was when I was really very conscious awareness and everything. So that would have been the only picture of life I'd carried. That look, this thing is a jungle. You have to hustle. You have to do all this. I had to learn the hard way, and because I went through the entire rope, worked in crazy places, worked in warehouses, did manual labor, all of that, to where I am now, and I can look back and say, wow, well, I mean, I had to learn that this is possible. I had to learn to live. I had to learn to love. Yeah, because one of the things that living a hard life gives you is it gives you a very hard disposition. So you're almost constantly at war with people and things. You're looking for an edge. Someone is trying to do something to you, even if the person is just being themselves. I think I had to learn to live, to see life better. And then I had to really learn the hard way to make money. Still learning that one too, Sha. But I'm better now. I had to learn that. Yeah, I had to learn the hard way to make money. I had to learn that the easiest way to make money, really and truly, is to use what you have, and that could be a lot of things. It could be skills, it could be talent, it could be knowledge. I had to learn that like you've got to transfer what you have to value that people can pay for. It took a while, you know. I went from being dependent to being independent to being dependent again. I went from hating people for not giving me stuff to realizing that, hey, chill, now you've got stuff to be able to make money from. So, I mean, I had to learn the entire money process the hard way. I had to learn to be with people the hard way. I had to learn to love people the hard way, really. For plenty of things. So I'm trying to stay on the surface, do not go deep
Deep down.
inside. But really, there were a lot of things I had to learn the hard way. Plenty of them I had to learn the hard way. Had to go the longer routes, the harder routes. Then when I finally arrived, I was like, but there was better ways to go about this. I just didn't know. I guess I needed to go again. I don't carry the philosophy that there are coincidences. If someone had told me or helped me then, I would have known better. I feel that, and it's a philosophy most we carry that everybody is doing the best with what they have where they are. Everybody, irrespective of how you perceive what they are doing, they are doing the best with that. If they know better, they will do better. So I feel that even having to go that long route and learning some of the things that I would have thought were basic, even down to stuff like parenting, I had to learn it the hard way. I mean, yeah, I had to learn it the hard way, right? So, but I'm still grateful that I at least had to learn.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You
Thank you so
I'm
much,
grateful.
Erika, for saying that. Thank you. So important that, of course, all of us are still learning. And thank you for mentioning all those words that you said. Now, even as we round off now, I don't know, is there anything you're working on that you want people, of course, to know about? And of course, where can people reach you? And this is just the timing. Of course, people can just follow at, of course, can follow you on Instagram, on LinkedIn as well. So I don't know if there's something you're working on that you want people, of course, to know about, and where can we reach you on all the social media handles?
All right, so I'm working on a project. Yeah, it's a Live Better project. It's not going to be free,
True,
right?
true,
But
true.
it's going to be the way we're designing it. It's a deep dive, right? It's a deep dive. The entire program is going to run for about a month or 2 months. It's Start Live Better. We're working through modules on how to excavate stuff from your life that you don't want to be there, and, and then literally planting the things you want to be there. And we're going through this using advances in neuroscience, in psychology, psychodynamics, and all of that. So it's not just, but when I say it's a deep dive, it's a deep dive. We're looking at sometime in January, but we're still working at an exact date. But yeah, if you follow me on all my social handles or social media handles, once the program is about to come out, everybody will see it. So on Instagram, I am EZEOGU. I think I'm EZEOGU across all of them: Instagram, Facebook, um,
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, and on Twitter, I'm at SmartChooks. I have a different persona for Twitter. Twitter is a battleground, so I have an alter ego for Twitter, because you have to be able to engage. Twitter is the engagement in Twitter comes with a lot more depth. When
Yeah.
I say depth, it's not even in content; it's in persona. Than right. But yeah, on Twitter I'm at SmartTunes. Once in a while I come out to engage once in a while. But yeah, on other social media handles, on platforms rather, I'm EZEOGU.
All right,
So
absolutely.
if you follow me, you will see when the program is well cooked, you'll see it and then you can sign up.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to that. Thank you so much, EMEKA. It's so good to have you today on the show at the Talk Influencers. Honestly, every word that you have shared with us today is just life transforming. Thank you for the explanations that you made about yourself and, of course, about your experiences. Thank you so much, because for me, and of course, I know people that are watching on the Talk Influencers, they have gained one or two things to transform and to change their lives for the better. Thank you so, so very much. You happen to be our 113th episode of God, 113 guests on the show, and we still want to say thank you. And as a matter of fact, we are rounding off the year with you, and until next
Whoa,
year,
look
to
at.
start another one. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, EMEKA. We hope that next time we call you next year, hopefully, and you're going to, of course, come to the show. Thank you so much. It's of great
Thank you
joy
for
and
having me.
excitement to have you today on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All
It's
right.
an honor.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. This is the Talk Influencers. Until next time, next year, of course, this is the Talk Influencers. Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye.